All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's been a while since we made some content with the truck, but I've been plucking away at it here the last couple months here and there. I've done a few upgrades. I'm going to show you guys this video finally. We have not raced it since LS Fest, and since then we have done quite a few things, and we're planning to do more in this video that I'm going to show you guys. We're planning to do some essential upgrades for a drag and drive style vehicle in this video. We have a couple sensors we're adding. We also installed something pretty cool I'm about to show you guys now. So we got a new upgrade for the truck. Now this might just look like a normal mirror. Well, check this out. So this is the Wolfbox G900 Tripro. Tri because we have 3 cameras now. So we have a dash cam, which is actually on the front of the mirror. We have an engine bay camera, and we also have a backup camera now. This thing does a lot of stuff. It's pretty cool. It came with a GPS, so now I can actually see my mile per hour on the road. I wasn't before because, you know, race car things. We also get the date and time. It's constantly recording. I have it turned off right now, but anytime you power it on, it begins recording. As you can see in the top left, I have it set to record in 3-minute intervals. This thing has a 256 gigabyte memory card in it. And once you fill it up, it'll just start deleting your oldest clip and start loop recording. You guys know I love my truck. God forbid anything ever happens to it, I will have it on video. And it's pretty cool from a YouTuber standpoint because a lot of these angles, like the engine bay camera, if we don't always have enough GoPros to capture all these angles. If something happens on a pass, I'll have just about every angle from everywhere of what happened. Obviously, this old 90s pickup did not come with all this fancy stuff. As you can see, here's our backup camera. Here's our engine bay camera, which works really good in the daytime, but for nighttime, I plan to add some engine bay lights to light everything up. So on these long drag and drives, we can see anything going on under the hood. And obviously, being a race car / street car that I drive a lot, it doesn't have the greatest security. So what's really cool about this thing is it actually records while the truck is parked. So if something happens I don't know about while I was gone, it's gonna get it on camera. The quality of the footage is really good, especially at nighttime. I was really surprised with the low light footage. The cameras record all the way up to 4K, 30 frames per second, really high quality stuff. I changed the settings to film in 1080/60. That way I can just have a little bit more storage. But if you want, it really does do 4K, 30 frames per second. As I showed already, it actually has this split screen mode, which is really cool. We can see everything at once. And actually, when you drop it in reverse, it'll automatically go to the backup camera, or you can just switch between all 3 whenever you want. The engine bay camera is actually supposed to be a front bumper camera, but in a drag and drive application, I want it to be a little bit different. Now I can see if my belt's staying on. I can see if we have any oil or fuel leaks randomly. I can monitor things that I normally wouldn't be able to monitor. It's also just really cool that I'm gonna have footage all the time going down track. If anything ever does happen, we can have a really cool angle of it. This thing actually comes with its own Wi-Fi. As you can see, it has 2.4 gigahertz or 5.8 gigahertz, which will make download speeds very fast. You can actually get on the Wolfbox app and download all the videos super quick. So if you guys are interested in Wolfbox, I'll leave a link in the description of this video and I'll pin a comment. They actually have a 20% off sale right now. So go check it out. It's pretty cool. I don't think many people have used it in this kind of application for a drag and drive vehicle. So I kind of put my own special touch on it. But it's pretty cool. It would be cool for any kind of older vehicle that doesn't come with this modern, with these modern kind of gadgets. So go check it out. Thank you to Wolfbox for sponsoring today's video. I decided that it's probably a good idea to verify timing on this thing because I never have. And so that's what we've been up to. So I watched some YouTube University, figured out how to do it. Fun fact, I have never used a timing light, but I learned how today. And I'm not sure that I 100% did it right, but the math is all checking out so far. So what we did is we made a makeshift timing pointer because Jegs didn't have one, unfortunately. They discontinued their timing pointer for a 6 3/4 diameter balancer. So I went ahead and just made my own. I used that bolt hole inside and used some TIG rod and made a mark. And don't mind that mark, I'm an idiot. Oh, I just moved it. Oh well, it's fine, everything's fine. That mark was my top dead center. Now the number doesn't really matter because I put the balancer on there I don't have a keyway on the crank. So there's no way to, the numbers don't mean anything, but it's a tool to help me with the math. So anyways, we made a mark on the balancer based off of our makeshift timing pointer, and it landed on 212. That's just a spot that I picked. And then, I found top dead center. We actually took number one spark plug out, put a borescope in there, made sure we were on compression stroke. And then that's where I put the mark on the balancer, wherever my timing pointer lined up. So, and then we locked the timing out on the Holly. It was idling at like 28 degrees. So we just went up here to idle spark and turned that off. And then it idles at 28 degrees, somewhere in there. And when I put the timing light on it, the makeshift timing pointer, it lines up at 240. So I was like, oh, that's weird. So 240 minus 212 is 28, which tells me if I'm doing this right, I mean, that doesn't seem like a coincidence. A guy has figured out that the timing is accurate on this thing. Anyways, I think I figured it out. I think the timing is correct on this thing, and I'm gonna show you guys why I think that the timing wasn't correct. If you look at my headers, they're colorful. They look cool, I guess, but man, those have been hot, and they've been like that for a while. This isn't anything new. I mean, this is the worst I've ever seen it. I mean, they are really colorful, which tells me, when you don't have a lot of timing in something, that's just heat out the exhaust. Obviously, those have been pretty hot. And when I did take out number one spark plug, I'll put a picture up for you guys. To me, I don't, this is the whole thing with this truck is I'm learning, but, I don't really completely know. I kind of know how to read plugs just based off of watching my brother and dad work on stuff, but it definitely looked rich to me. And as far as where the timing mark was, it was really, I think it's supposed to be on the bend. But of course, I drive this thing around a lot, and the only real way to really read a plug would probably be to, shut it off right after a pass and then push it back to the pit and pull the plug out. That would probably be, so I'm not too worried about where the timing mark's at. Yeah, there's just a few subtle hints that it acts like it doesn't have timing in it. In first and second, this thing pulls really good, and then in high gear, it just falls off like ridiculously bad. Once it finally has some load, it just falls off under load. It'll spin up in the burnout. It'll spin up, first and second gear when there's not a lot of load on it yet. But when you throw it in high gear, dude, and it finally gets some load on it, I mean, it's like I have a parachute out. I was hoping that the timing was off, because then, that's like, hey, look, that's a smoking gun, right? It looks like it's close to me, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe some engines just need more timing, especially since, obviously every engine's different, every little combination's different. Maybe this one, it's having something to do with the turbos in the bed and having a weird combination. I know the turbos are too big for the motor, we all know that, and them being 15 feet away from the motor really doesn't help. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I've been saying this for a long time. The turbos are gonna get moved up front. It sucks. I know, like, the truck's going to go faster immediately, and that's why I'm excited to do it. But at the same time, I don't know that anybody's even going to care about this truck if it don't have the turbos in the bed. Like, I don't know. But you think of it like this, nobody's going to really care about a 6-second truck anyways, but they might care about a 5-second truck that's, 3,600 pounds with a stock bottom end LS and all the goofy stuff that we're doing here. But so basically, I learned how to use a timing light. That's about it. So some other changes that we've made to the truck. We put a 430 rear gear in it. We went from a 350 to a 430 now. So when I originally put the truck together, it had a 410. That got destroyed in the dyno disaster, if you guys remember. I rushed the truck back together for War in the Woods. We put a glide in it with a 350 gear. That's the worst thing I've ever done. And then now we had the 4L80 back in with the 350 gear. And our starting line ratio was around like 860, and it was really hard to 60 foot being this heavy with no cubic inch and everything working against us. It wasn't enough. So now it's just an 1/8 mile. It still drives around really nice. Like, it actually gets up the road and out of its way a lot better now. It's still a dud in high gear, like terrible. So I'm almost not certain it's not transmission or converter related, which is the segue into the next part of this video. Is we have some sensors to add to the truck. I've been skeptical a little bit about the transmission kind of acting funny. Ever since LS Fest, we dealt with it smoking because I had it overfilled. We fixed that by not overfilling it. So I found out that we actually have a port from the factory on this 4L80E for line pressure. So you can see we got our 0 to 300 PSI Low Dollar Motorsports sensor right into the side of the transmission. Where I thought it was going was actually not going to show me line pressure. So, a little bit of research, but we're learning here. So that was easy. And then as far as this side goes, we got that fitting I got from Nitrous Outlet. It's up in there with our sensor on the top, and then we plugged the bottom. After talking with Dion, he would much rather see the tranny temperature be in the pan. So we're gonna do that, but also that fitting is not gonna work for the temp sensor. The temp sensor sticks too far into the fitting and actually out the other side. So that just wasn't gonna work. But we still used it. We just have the bottom plugged off. And so what this sensor is gonna show us is converter charge pressure. So it'll be pretty neat. I'm not sure that I need all this data on this thing, but it could show us maybe some things that we might have going on. We'll see. The transmission's been kind of acting inconsistent. Just a few quirks that I've noticed driving it around, and I just want to make sure everything's good. So we should have some good data from these sensors. Maybe we'll be able to find something. It'll be interesting. But yeah, we'll add trans temp later on. We'll just drill and tap into the pan, and at least later on, when this thing gets even more racy, all this stuff will already be wired in and ready to go. All right, so I'm not gonna lie, this is my first time doing this. We've got all the we're not gonna look very close at that, but we got the wires going. We got the 5-volt power hooked up, the 5-volt something ground, and then the signal wires, this green one there, that's gotta go to J2B. But before I plug that in, I just wanted to configure it on the thing and pick a pin on the pin map, so that's what I did. And then I guess we're gonna put in all these numerical values into this here the damn laptop. So I'm gonna work on that now. I've only added dome pressure in my boost solenoids. I don't know if this is the fanciest way to lay this out, but I like to have it on paper with the wire colors. Obviously I have my pin map. I decided to do A20 for trans pressure. I just need a 5-volt ground, I think is what that stands for. I don't know, but we still have plenty of inputs and outputs. If I ever use all of these, God help me, because I'm already about out of room down there with all the wires I got. But A20. Trans pressure. Should have wrote mainline pressure. Oh well. And that is let's see, what color did we pick? This is green and black. So we got the truck running, and we got trans pressure. It's working. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'll look it up here in a minute. See what happens when I put it in reverse and drive and everything. We'll see. So I got the converter charge pressure hooked up now. Sensor is reading. So now we have trans pressure and converter charge. I don't know what these numbers mean yet, but we're gonna go take this thing out, drive it around. I'm not gonna beat on it. I just wanna drive around and see what it does, and I don't know, try and learn something. we made it to the gas station. This is a lot of squiggles and stuff, but everything looks normal, I guess. It looks really harsh, but just the way it's scaled. So green is line pressure. Sorry, I don't have enough room in here. It was 2.8 at its lowest and like 217, 220 at the highest. So it looks really aggressive, but it's not. The converter charge pressure was doing something. What's going on here? Obviously this is at idle and stuff, so it drops. I'm guessing I was slowing down because I was at 0% TPS. So this was like 1, 2, 3 reds RPM, 1, 2, 3. So this was 2 just driving up the road. I know it's working because when I lock the converter up in overdrive, the pressure gets higher, which I believe is correct. But something I am realizing, I haven't logged it yet, but just pulling into the gas station, I reversed and the converter charge pressure was really low, like in the teens, which I do not think that's normal. And that would explain why it acts funny in reverse. I'll explain when I get back, but I don't know. Somebody that knows what they're doing can probably tell me a little bit more of what I'm seeing, but I'm just glad that I have the data. Putting some corn liquid in this thing. We're gonna crack the CO2 bottle open, let it make like 20 pounds, and go out and make a pull and see what it does. This is the lowest my fuel cell's ever been. I've been driving it for like 2 weeks straight, and it finally was getting low. 25 gallon cell is really nice on the 85. Luckily in Ohio though, we have a ton of E85 stations, so. All right, guys, so I do a really good job at speaking things into existence. I'm really good at foreshadowing, as it turns out. So we just got the truck back from our little drive. We got the footage off of our Wolfbox camera. I was like, well, let's see, maybe the headers were glowing. That'd be cool to see. And then we also looked at all the data logs. So let's go over everything we found. Engine bay camera saves the day. So we took this thing out and made a pull. To my surprise, I'm like, whoa, look at that. Man, those are really glowing. That thing's only on like 20 pounds of boost. The other thing I notice is my freaking engine raises up. Let me see if I can show you guys. My engine raises up like a lot. I don't know if that's normal or not, but it's kind of weird. I mean, it's all polyurethane motor mounts and rubber transmission mount. So, but it moves around a lot, which makes me wonder how much stress is on the exhaust going all the way to the back. But anyways, this is in the daylight. The camera has not moved. Okay. Let me know when you see it. Let me know when you see the problem. We got a dead hole, but only on high boost. Can you actually see that thing arcing out? I don't know. So I'll show you guys what we found, but we have a dead hole under power. I mean, this is all the driver's side. Number 1, 5, and 7 are glowing, and number 3 is just along for the ride. And that was our second pull. This one was our first pull. This was our first pull we made. You can actually see it come in there for a second. You see it light up and then it's gone. So it's not completely dead. but we certainly had a problem. And so I'm gonna show you guys what we found. Now I suspect this has been like this a while. Because like I said in the beginning of the video, this thing acts like it doesn't have any timing in it. It acts like it's dead. And mostly in high gear. First and second gear, no problem. But high gear, it's like I'm pulling a trailer. So as you can see, once it gets up, you know, in the RPM and under a lot of load, we got, number 3 ain't rowing. It's just along for the ride. Now we had actually already taken this off and messed with it, but I rubbed all the white off. There might still be a little bit there, but usually when a plug wire goes, it gets all this white chalky stuff. But if you see that dimple right above my thumb, it's arcing through there. When we pulled the plug wire, don't mind that. When we pulled the plug wire off, at first it was all chalky right here, which is, you know, means it's been arcing. So, but we checked it, you know, at idle. We sprayed all the cylinders, and, you know, obviously it's fine at idle and driving up the road, but under load, you know, it was just touching enough to where we burned a hole through that, and it just arced out. So we're gonna have to get some different plug wires. These were the original set that I made from Sick Week. I've had a couple problems with them touching my headers and stuff, so we got a plan for that. These are just ICT billets, universal 8mm plug wires. I think they're 8mm. I don't know how much these are up to the task of what we're doing, but I think we're gonna have to try something else, something with maybe some like ceramic boots, because we've melted a few now. And it's mainly, I mean, honestly, it's because of poor routing. Mostly, it's not really the plug wire's fault. I just have kind of a tight setup here. And on this side, I actually have them running underneath, and I've burnt a back one once on that back tube. So, I don't know. I think we're gonna call up old Fire Core and give them all my measurements of my wires that I already have. And then maybe we could get this thing tuned up. I need some different boots. That's kind of mainly the problem. Like, I've got 90-degree ones here and 45s here and just all kinds of weird stuff because, again, like I said, I burned up a few and had to replace some. So yeah, we got to figure that out. But this is probably why the truck just is dead in high gear. And I can't see it in the data log because my my O2 sensor is on the passenger side bank. But the air fuel's on target very well on this side, so I think we're good over here. I don't think we have any problems over here. I mean, wow. Wolfbox for saving the day. Like, that was super random, and I just decided to happen to choose to put it on this side. Like, that was super lucky how that worked out because I have no way of seeing that in the data that I have a dead hole right there, only under load. I have no way to tell other than land my eyeballs on it somehow. So that's just kind of is what it is. This is supposed to be a simple truck. I don't have EGTs. I only have air fuel on one side. I mean, these are upgrades that we can do in the future, but you know, this thing's just kind of a work in progress, and that's where we're at right now. So we got to get some new plug wires and get that fixed up and see what this thing will finally do on all 8. Okay, so now we're going to get into our transmission issues, possible issues. I just want to give a huge shout out to Low Dollar Motorsports. Brandon Dollar's been a huge help through this process. I've never wired any sensors before like that. I've never even used MetroPack connectors, so I learned how to do that. Did a lot of learning. But I've never like set up the scaling and inside the Holly. Like, I've never done any of this. And you know, I'm lucky enough that I was able to have his help throughout this and make it go a lot smoother. And it worked first try, no problem. I got everything right first try, thankfully. So the sensors worked flawlessly, and I'll show you guys the data now. What we have pulled up right now is RPM and trans pressure and converter charge pressure. So, sorry, my screen's a little dirty. So this here's converter charge. This bright green is TPS. This darker green is the line pressure. and this red is the RPM. As you can see, this was our second pull that we made, so we floored it right here. And this was the 1 to 2 shift, which something weird happened here. The first thing it did is it flared up a little bit. I want to say, like, I wish I had video of it so I can listen to it back, but I think it tickled the rev limiter a little bit. So we did actually tickle the rev limiter just once. So that's what that little pop was. I guess I just shifted it late, but like, again, once the boost, man, this thing still only made 14 pounds. Let me zero out the run here. Give me the TPS. So after I floored it, it took it 4 seconds to make 20 pounds of boost. Good Lord. So this was our first pull that we made. It was just a 2 to 3 pull, 2 to 3 shift. We shifted at about 70, almost 7,500, and it drops down to 6,500 and lugs it super hard. Just sitting there at like, I mean, this is weird. Like, it just sits there at like 65, 6,600. So this is our converter charge pressure line. The bright green is TPS. The dark green is line pressure. And the red is obviously RPM that we were looking at. I don't know what to decipher from all this. The charge pressure seems a little low to me. I mean, I don't know what is normal. I called Dion and talked to Dion a little bit. I really need to call Pete at Circle D and maybe show him some logs, but our line pressure pretty much stays at like 200 to 220 all the time. Constant. So I'm not really worried about the line pressure. That seems normal to me. But our converter charge pressure is just a little, just kind of weird. That's all I'm saying. Major drop on the shift. So what were we, like 34 to 23? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not a converter guy, but definitely just, yeah, I don't know what to make of it. So here's what's really weird is on pull 2, the converter charge pressure actually decreases as RPM increases. And I actually tickled the rev limiter on this one, on the 1 to 2 shift. But we shifted 1 to 2 at like 7,800. Hit the rev limiter. I don't know what that blip is. I don't know. This thing acts so weird. And as you can see, as RPM rises, charge pressure slowly, like just a little bit, decreases. Not a lot. I mean, it's all for scale, right? I mean, this from here to, yeah, that's 35 and that's 29. So like 6 PSI from there to there. So I guess it looks worse than it is, but you'd figure it would be rising. And then once again, we have a big dip on the 2 to 3 shift. And then it starts increasing with RPM out here. So I don't know. I don't know what to make it about any of this. I really just need to send it to our converter guy and let him decipher it. This is what's slightly concerning though. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is concerning. It just seems odd to me. This thing, when you put it in reverse, seems very weird. Like, it's almost like the converter locks up in reverse, and it'll literally go like, it'll just try and run away from you when you drop it in reverse. The RPM actually drops, you know, this thing idles at like 950 to 1,000 RPM, and you can see it drops all the way down to like 400 and almost 500 RPM when I dropped it in reverse. Almost 400 RPM when I dropped it in reverse. And our converter charge pressure was 4 PSI. I don't know what the deal is with that. You know, it's just weird. You can see I dropped it in reverse twice. It goes from 40 at idle drop it in reverse, and it's down to 5. I don't know. I don't know if that's normal, but I can tell you reverse acts super weird. I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at, man. I got to send this to somebody who knows what's going on. So this has probably been going on a while. Pretty much probably ever since we put the second 4L80 in. I want to say it's probably been doing it since LS Fest at least, because I remember back at LS Fest in high gear, I mean, it was just dead. So, which is probably that the fact that we're on 7 cylinders, especially since the combination is already lacking exhaust. We're already not looking too good with our turbos being way too big for this engine, and 15 feet from the engine, they need all the exhaust pressure they can get. And when you just take away a whole cylinder, like, it's going to make a big difference. You know, it's probably worth a few miles an hour for sure. So definitely sucks. But that's an easy fix, you know, and I'm so glad that I found it. I have no data that would have showed me that was going on. Like, I'd have to have EGTs or maybe an air fuel sensor or an O2 sensor on the driver's side bank. Maybe it would have showed me something going on, but wild. And like I said, it was only doing it at idle, but you know, high RPM under load, it's obviously arcing with the header. So glad we found that. We're gonna get that fixed up. We'll get some new plug wires and upgrade that. And then, but as far as this transmission thing goes, I don't know. We're gonna send this to Circle D and see what they say. So, because I don't know how to decipher this stuff. Alrighty, I think that's about it. That's gonna wrap it up for this one. Well, guys, I hope you learned something. I've learned a lot. Definitely really thankful for the Wolfbox thing. You know, that was just another one of those ads that we do. But this one was pretty cool because it pertained to cars. And so, you know, we put it on there, and it's pretty sweet, but it literally just caught something that I would have chased my tail so long on that deal. And as soon as I saw that, I downloaded the videos off of the Wolfbox thing. And like, as soon as I saw one of the tubes just not glowing, I was like, that is not right. So, and thank goodness I put it on the driver's side. And now I want to put another one on the passenger side, but I mean, we would have seen something in the data because, like I said, I have the O2 sensor on the passenger side. So this isn't even part of the ad anymore, but thank you to Wolfbox for sending this G900 Tripro dash cam mirror combo thing and I mean, I'm glad I put it in the engine bay. I remember I made the joke at the beginning of the video. I was like, this thing don't go fast enough to be having the headers glowing. Again, this thing was only on like 20 pounds and they were glowing. You know, I'm sure once you get all 8 rowing, they'll all glow a little less because the other 3 are trying to pick up for the one that ain't rowing. So, alrighty. Well, I think that's all I got, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you got some entertainment out of watching me struggle. But and huge shout out to Low Dollar Motorsports for the 2 sensors that you guys sent me. That was some really important data because I do think that we might have a little bit of a problem. And I don't really want to blow up another transmission. So some simple sensors like that, just a 0 to 300 pressure sensor can show you a lot. It can possibly save you a lot of parts. The more sensors and data you can collect, you can save a lot of parts. You can catch a lot of things happening early. So yeah, huge shout out to Low Dollar Motorsports. Thank you to Brandon Dollar for helping me out. Huge help. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.